I really didn't know much of anything, but I was able to figure it out as I was out there. He knocked on the door, he opened the door, basically just like steps outside the door, closed the door behind him. And he's just looking at me with like a blank expression, right? And I swear we sat there staring at each other for like 5 seconds. It felt like forever.
Hola, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Reliable HVACR podcast. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, watching this live. If you guys joined the live chat, I appreciate you guys interacting with me and the guest. If you guys are on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the new channel and help the podcast out by wherever you listen to, on Spotify, Apple Podcast, making sure you leave a 5-star review, hopefully, and get the podcast out to more people. We are having good conversations with good people, and I really love doing this. I also want to thank the sponsors of the podcast. We have Jobber, my favorite CRM. I cannot tell you, going from paper invoices to completely digital has completely changed the game for me. I always did all the billing, quoting, trying to get all the prices updated. I can do all that in the palm of my hand with Jobber, and you never have to worry about chicken scratch or physically picking up invoices, anything like that. It's all digital, it's all online, easy to track, getting paid quicker. So if you guys want a free trial and a discount, go check out getjobber.com/reliablehvacr. And VETO Pro Pack, as far as the best tool bags that you can get, be sure to check out VETO's diverse lineup of tool bags. They're built to last. They do have a 5-year warranty if there's any defects. VETOPropack.com. Go check out my profile on their website. I'm super honored to be on that. And you won't be disappointed. Great bags. They're pricey, but they'll last you a long time. And just a quick reminder, if you guys like listening about our work week experiences, our rants about what we do and don't like about work, our tech tips, all of that, join me, Jake, and Curtis, 2 other big YouTubers, on HVAC Nights. We have a weekly live show, so please go check that out. It's a ton of fun. It's laid back. I never know what's going to come up. It's just a spontaneous, uncensored version of what we see out in the field and kind of just our lifestyle. So go check out HVAC Nights and help that channel out. On today's episode, we have Courtland Butler of HVAC Technology on YouTube. He is from Charlotte. Good dude, super into technology, obviously, and he got a late start in his HVAC career, so let me have him tell his story. All right, Courtland, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you go by anything else, or is that what you go by?
Oh, no, Courtland, yeah.
All right, just making sure.
Yes, sir.
How's work? How's everything? I know we're in the middle of our busy season. How's it treating you?
Oh, yeah, doing great, man. I really don't have any complaints. Just doing a lot of, just basic service stuff. And still got a couple maintenance calls here that are trickling in that haven't been completed in the I guess the shoulder.
Yeah, I get so behind on my maintenance because our customers like to. I have one, which reminds me when I get back, I need to do like 20 ice machines.
Oh wow!
They wanted to do it quarterly, right? Because it's a hospital.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they creep up every now and then, and we're right in the middle of summer, and I got to get back to that.
Yeah, it's hard to get rid of them, man. Sometimes, I don't know. Maintenance is like one thing I kept coming to find about maintenance is in the summer, like over the years, is like they're actually kind of ideal because it's easier to if you find a problem, the customer's not going to just kind of say, oh, like for instance, capacitors, just general things that need to be replaced. Like if you say, oh, this capacitor's under spec, they're going to be quicker to replace that when it's, super hot out compared to if it's like, they're really not stressing. It's only 75 degrees out. So it's easier to kind of, I guess, just get
Address
those
it.
potential, yeah,
Yeah.
address issues, get those potential sales and things like that, and just kind of mitigate the callback potential. Because I know one thing, like that's one thing I experience is like if I've noticed if I don't change the capacitor in the springtime, a lot of times that first over 90 day, that's when the
Oh yeah.
capacitor pops, and then the customer expects, oh, like we just got it maintenance, you just had it maintenance, there shouldn't be anything wrong with it type of thing. So things like that.
Yeah,
Um,
we deal with the well, like we do a lot of maintenance on ACs, ice machines, refrigeration equipment, stuff like that.
yeah.
That's kind of the because I do commercial like only, so
Hmm.
I don't like to push anything. Like I'm not trying to sell equipment. I'm not trying to do any of that. I would much rather repair something.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
I have like tried to balance it. I've talked about this before. Like okay, like up to a certain point, that it's not worth putting in all new compressors, all new motors. It's just gonna.
Absolutely.
I actually just had one recently, but the customer was real stubborn on this old carrier unit. I believe it was like
Yeah.
a 10 ton or something. It was a
Uh-huh.
two stage RTU.
Yeah.
One compressor was good, so like they wanted to try and salvage it, but that thing needed one new compressor, two new fan motors.
Hmm.
We found out the blower motor shorted out.
Mm-hmm.
So I got
Yeah,
all
that's
that
over.
going and I added it up, and they approved it because once we started, they weren't gonna pull out of that. So that thing costs
Interesting.
right under 10 grand, I believe. And I'm like,
Goodness gracious.
for a little bit more, I could, and that's just because like we don't even upcharge that much. That that
Yeah.
that freaking blower motor was, I think, just as expensive as a compressor. So I was like, there's
Wow.
nothing I can do about that.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, you know what? Because we don't charge a crazy amount. I was like, for a few more thousand, like another 5,000 or whatever it was, you would
Yeah.
have had a brand new system covered under warranty and all that. So
And they didn't want to go for it, huh?
at the time, I guess they were like, just find out what's wrong with it, and
Was that
we try to give them
go
a
ahead.
list of things, right? And then most of the time that's enough to convince them. But like this one was like no, because they had just put in, I want to say, two other units,
Yeah.
but doing commercial, we're not the only company out there. So those were not bids.
Yeah.
Those were not the bids that we got, right? So some other company put two new AC units in, and then when this one came up, it's like nope. I guess they're drawing the line here. They want to just repair it and get it going. So I mean, it's working. We got it going. It's just it
Okay.
costs quite a bit.
And they did that during like the peak season, like recently, or was
We
that?
just did that a week and a half ago.
Huh. Oh wow. Yeah. Who would have thought? See, like I said, that's the type of stuff. Like, I mean, I don't know. People have been a little bit cheaper lately. Last couple this year, this season, I've noticed. I'm not sure what that's about, but like I said, like if I find something like that on a maintenance during the peak season, most of the time they're gonna go ahead and just replace it, man. Like if I tell them, okay, you got $3,500 worth of repair, it's a 20-year-old R22 system. They're not gonna even really flinch at that. They're just gonna say, okay, we need to swap that out because they know they don't want to be. They got like 3 or 4 months left to have the deal. But if it was in the springtime, they probably would have just said, forget about it, just go ahead and make the repair and
Yeah.
move on with the type thing. But
No,
yeah.
in the commercial, or I do restaurants. So like if it's a lobby or something important for like the people that dine in and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I've noticed that they tend to get that repaired or replaced a lot quicker, because then they're going to be like, "Oh, our customers are walking out, they're complaining,
Yeah,
they're not
exactly.
selling as much, all that."
Hmm.
If it's a kitchen, I feel so bad, but they will make the cooks struggle in the heat. That's always the last one that they want to fix.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
And then I'm
Yeah.
in there, and the cooks, because I've gone to places for like second opinions and stuff, and the
Hmm.
cooks are like, "Oh man, are you here to replace the unit? I can, like, please." It's they're like dripping in sweat. Like
Goodness gracious. And
we've
that's,
been
yeah,
like
the
this
highest environment.
we've been like this for months and this and that. And I'm like, I'm trying, man. Like right
Hmm.
now, it's kind of crazy. Like they've done a lot they've approved a lot, but they're still like, and I understand every business or person has a budget, right? So like
Yeah.
to a certain point, they're gonna, because we've been dealing with a lot of like second opinions. I'm like, well, your compressor's bad, your this is bad,
Hmm.
everything. I've told people everything is like failing this year. This is like the year. All the years leading up to this, it's like, well, I don't know how much longer it's gonna last. Get
Yeah.
it going for another year. This and that. This is the year that everything's failing.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
I've had to
interesting.
quote out so many compressors, so many motors, like a lot
That
of
is
stuff.
weird.
So then
Yeah.
they're like, let's get a second opinion, and then the other company tells them the same thing.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
And I was gonna say
Hmm.
on maintenance, like you said, it's good to point out. I mean, we do maintenance for a lot of these companies, and like I said, we're not the only customer. I mean, we're not the only company that goes out to them. They
Mm-hmm.
have their list of like 3 companies or whatever it is,
Oh, okay. Wow.
and
Huh.
they do, yeah, and they get us to do. We got to outbid each other and all that.
Crazy. Oh, wow. That's got to get a little,
It
little
gets a little
curious, huh?
irritating because some of them we've had for like 15 years. There's
Yeah.
one that we've had for a long time, and another one that we've had for, I don't know, 5 years or so.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do you need a second opinion, man? Come on, like, but it's business.
True. Yeah. Keep it
So
balancing. Yeah.
I understand, but like, if and it's funny because they have me doing maintenance, right? So like, like you
Mhm.
said, I cannot go out there and be like, turn a blind eye to anything. I will write up any compressors that are not working, any motors that are not
Yeah.
working,
Yeah.
caps that are bad. All like I write up. I go through everything, right?
Yeah.
I might not,
Absolutely.
not always get the bid because whatever I recommend, this has happened a couple times recently. On my next maintenance call, I'm like, oh, they got a new compressor, or oh, they got a new this or that,
Oh,
and
really?
it's
So
what
you'll
I
write it up.
recommended,
Oh, wow. Man, that's crazy.
and I
Hmm.
just gotta,
Gotta suck it up, man.
bite my lip and keep doing what I'm doing.
That's, yeah, man. Who would have thought?
It's like a
Hmm.
double edged sword because like I'm recommending it, I'm giving these other companies, I guess work, but
Absolutely. Yeah.
if I don't write it up, I'm not doing my job, and then they're gonna be like, why are you even doing our maintenance?
Hmm. Yeah. That's crazy.
It's
So
the
are you
commercial world.
do you like ever go back and I guess find out what the other company might have charged, or I
Oh,
mean obviously they had to.
we have one customer. I don't think the other one likes to tell us, but the one that we've had forever, like we're good friends with like most of the managers, right? It's the same people that we see every year.
Yeah.
Um, they'll complain to us. Some guy that I don't even think I condemned the unit. I was just trying to get them to fix the door to the walk-in freezer.
Yeah.
So a walk-in freezer, like that's super important. And
Hmm.
I wasn't
Absolutely. Yeah.
condemning it or anything. They got a second opinion because I'm like, without fixing that door, because they did need a whole new door. It was all warped and cracked and like crazy.
Okay. Yeah.
And they didn't want to buy a new door. I was like, okay. They got a second opinion. The dude replaced like the TXV and I don't know what else.
Oh, wow.
And they were telling us it was like a $3,000 bill. I was like,
Huh.
and you paid that. All right. I wasn't condemning the unit. We could have got you a new door for that amount.
Yeah. Wow.
And I
Huh.
still had to go back and fix it because it wasn't working. It was a freezer. It was like at 18 degrees or something.
Yeah, I didn't realize commercial got did that type of stuff, man. As far as
It's cutthroat.
yeah. I figured it was a little bit I guess just more, what do you call it?
Like secure, like you get the customer and
Yeah.
it's all yours. No.
They just throw money at whatever issues type thing. I mean, that's the vibe that I always kind of got.
And it's crazy because we've made so much money. Like
Yeah.
every year we've done like a lot better, and
Hmm.
it's noticeable, right? But
Yeah.
we've made so much money. But I was telling my dad about it. I'm like, can you imagine if we had gotten all these bids, right? Like all the compressor changeouts, all the RTU changeouts, like we'd be
Yeah.
swimming in money right
Absolutely.
now.
Huh. Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's funny
Yeah.
to
You
think,
got the manpower for that? You got the manpower to handle that type of volume, or
no, we're only
how
four
many
guys.
guys? Okay. Yeah. I hear you, man. Yeah.
That's where my dad is like, but when do we have the time? It's like maybe we
Yeah.
didn't. Maybe it was a good thing we didn't get it right. I was like, all right.
Yeah. It's like you say, that double edged sword, man. I mean,
Yeah, because
It's
then like you get behind, you don't get to all these things, or you can't do it. That looks bad too, you know.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
This podcast is presented by Local. Local works tirelessly to help HVAC contractors rank higher on Google. They use an attack methodology to make sure that contractors dominate their local service areas and increase their market share and generate higher revenue. Reach out to Local at localhq.com/reliable. Mention me or the Reliable HVACR podcast, and you'll get 2 months of SEO for free. SPECTROLINE leak detection, the highest quality and brightest fluorescent leak detection products on the market. Get the job done right with their 2-in-1 premium UV dye and powerful AC sealant Glow Seal. I've actually used it. You can extend the lifespan of your equipment, find and seal the smallest and hardest to find leaks. It works 24/7. Once it's in, it's always on. This product works when you're not there. The only focused leak detection company with success in many industries, because believe it or not, it's in most vehicles out on the road right now. So if you guys want to find out more, go to spectroline.com and let me know what your favorite leak detection method is. So I've been watching your channel and stuff, and I've noticed, you know, the kind of the videos that you put out and all that.
Yeah.
You seem, as far as like the stuff that you post about and then talk about, because you do a lot of like tool reviews and stuff like that, a bunch of like kind of similar stuff that I've done.
Yes, sir.
You kind of like nerd out on the tech stuff too, right? I feel like you got that same vibe
Yeah, yeah,
as
man.
myself, because I'm super into like technology and all that.
Yeah,
Hence the
absolutely.
name, you know.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. HVAC technology. Yeah, I mean, I've always been that way, man. Always been into just you know, just trying to find the way to use technology to really maximize efficiency in whatever I'm doing. So it's just one of those things. I think I got into HVAC at the right time, because if I would have probably been maybe got into it maybe a decade earlier, it just probably wouldn't have appealed to me, just because there wasn't as, I mean, there was the technology and stuff like that, but just not to the extent where you got all this app based stuff, and you know, just
So
Bluetooth
like,
and all these type of things.
just real
So
quick to interject, how many years have
yeah,
you been in the trade?
believe about 6 years now. Sorry, it's kind of hard to keep up. Probably
Yeah.
should
Oh,
have.
I don't even keep my up to. I don't keep
Yeah,
track of my age anymore either. When people ask me, I'm
me
like, oh
neither.
shit. I
Me
have to
neither.
think
Yeah,
about it for a second.
it's a fact, man. Yeah, I think it's been about 6 years though total. Yes, sir.
And well, yeah, that makes sense because like I started like 17 years ago. So
Oh, really? Okay.
I was in the era, like I've always been into technology too, right? Like when the iPhones came out, I nerded out about that, right? I went and got, you know, every iPhone, and
Yeah.
I tried to get everything that was like new, cutting edge, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And I was in the era between like internet, social media, all that. Like I started, there was nothing, right? There I could not even like
Mm,
Google anything. And now it's like
okay.
resources are unlimited online.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Literally. And that's another appeal. Like you know, like you say, as far as just the amount of information out there where you can actually like, you know, learn it and just what do you call it? Just basically just educate yourself, for lack of a better term. Just, you know, there's so much information and data out there. You got some of the best teachers in the you know, in the field that you have access to, and you know, they're always putting out content. It's just, and that's what actually got me starting this channel, is just the idea of just giving back, you know, trying to use the same platform to give back, and you know, for other guys that are trying to get into this field. So but yeah, I like the technology. I really am not that much into all the, I mean, I guess like you could say I'm like, as far as like just the other technologies like the phones and stuff like that, or cars and stuff, like I'm pretty simple. I keep it real simple with that type of stuff, but I'm more like into just I guess trying to like a practical application of technology, just trying to really maximize efficiency. Like
Yeah,
before I got into this,
no,
go
but
ahead.
I'm sorry. Before, like I mentioned, I was really into technology and stuff like that. I was always trying to get the newest and latest and greatest.
Yeah.
I'm not like that anymore. I got,
Oh yeah,
yeah, like I needed a truck, personal,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And well, about practicality and all that, like I bought an SUV for the kids, right? I was
Okay, yeah,
driving around in the soccer dad thing. I wasn't out there, or when I was younger, I might have wanted like that Camaro or
yeah,
whatever it is that
yeah.
was out. All
No
my
sure.
friends had sports cars, stuff like that.
Yeah,
As I got older, I was like, no, like I've always been like, what's practical, So
yeah, absolutely.
did the soccer dad, SUV for a while, and I was like, you know what,
Mm-hmm.
I really need a truck. I went out and got like the most. It's a nice truck. It's a new
Yeah,
Tundra. It's a new Tundra and all that, but I didn't want all the fancy stuff on it. I was like, give me the basics, right? Just something that's
yeah. Okay.
reliable. So
Yeah.
I totally get it. I'm into that now. I don't even
Mm-hmm.
update my phone every year. Like anything that I buy now is just geared towards like whatever I need for the for the channel and stuff like that.
I
Um,
respect it. Yeah,
yeah, like I
I
just bought
respect.
a MacBook. I've never been a MacBook person, but I was like, it helps me with the podcast and stuff like that. So I was like, okay,
Yeah,
it's on a as needed basis now. I'm not super like into it as I used to be.
I hear you, man. Absolutely. Yeah, it's like I say. It's it's just as far as the what do you call it? Just the new technology and just for the field and HVAC type stuff. Like trying to think.
You've
Oh
always
yeah, that's what I was
been
saying.
into like the probes and stuff like that, no?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, field piece probes. I start off with the testo. They're pretty much garbage, man. I've got really
I
absolutely no
couldn't
respect
remember
for
if you
those.
were like a testo guy or not, because there's
Yeah.
always
No.
everybody has their own like brand that they usually like. I tried the testos and I actually had the second gen.
Yeah.
Still didn't like them.
Okay. Really? Okay. I heard that
Nah,
they might have been actually comparable. I just think the design is completely flawed. Everything about them is actually they just I don't think they really did much field application like Field Piece does. I think Field Piece you can tell they do get a lot of
yeah, they're nice.
feedback from I guess guys in the field where in which Testo it just seemed like they kind of just put it together and
And
it was like that.
what's
Go
funny?
ahead.
I've had these conversations with like the guys like on nights and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wish they would just have like us, the guys maybe that do the YouTube
Hmm.
stuff to test them out, or just like real or more technicians in the field, because we find the problems like right away, and we're quick to do like a video on it or, or whatever it
Yeah.
is. Because
Absolutely, man.
with the testos, they always turned on in my bag.
Yeah. Oh my.
They were
Yeah,
always
man.
dead, and I was like, why? Like, who? How
Useless.
did they test them? Probably a technician that, if they had a technician test them, that always had
Yeah.
them in the case or something. Like I don't. I keep mine in my bag. Like it's more practical, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Not to mention like the clamps, like the temperature clamps, like the spring isn't strong enough, so it's just not making proper contact. It's got to be you got to make the perfect contact in order for it to properly read
That's
line
what I was
temperature.
telling people. I was like, I don't really dig these clamps. I was like, and they were like, no, they're better, this and that, because like I forgot what it uses to read versus like field piece,
Oh,
and
the
I'm like
thermistor.
the
Yeah.
thermistor, and
Supposed to be more accurate.
I don't know, I don't feel like they're working that well. But I was like, that's just me. I don't know. I preferred the field piece.
Yeah, field piece is 1,000 times better design.
But I
But
have talked to field piece, and I'm like, if you would just make these little changes, game changing. And I've been telling them for years to put a display on the probe, right?
oh yeah, that would be it. Yeah. Yeah. Like
But
the JB, what is it?
funny,
JB.
yeah, funny enough, it's JB, and now NAVAC is doing it too. They're doing
Okay, really?
the screen on the clamps.
I didn't know they had that.
I think NAVAC only has the clamps because they're marketing it to, if you buy their digital manifold, you get the clamps with it, right? So
Okay.
those
Yeah.
clamps have the display on it. The JB ones have a display on it. And I'm like, I'm just over here shaking my head. Like, I told you guys, like,
You
and
said
everybody's going crazy for it because it has a display.
it, I mean, you're right. I mean, that would to me that makes it full circle. That makes it like full practicality because at the end of the day, sometimes you don't feel like pulling out all the the apps and all that type of stuff. Sometimes you just want to get a quick measurement. So
I
you
just need
said
to
you
know,
told them that
like,
years ago,
I even told Tony from Field Piece. I'm like, dude, come on.
huh?
He's like, would you pay a premium for it? I'm like, yeah. I was like, charge me an
Yeah,
extra 50, $100, whatever it is. I'll take
true.
it.
It's a
Um,
fact. Yeah.
I warned him. I warned him, but these other
It's not
companies.
too late for him.
No, the good thing is these other companies will make them, or it's like competition. It'll make
Yeah,
them go back and think about it and all that. So that's what I'm hoping
absolutely.
for. I'm like and he said maybe on the second gen, right? Because these are still their first
That
generation
is crazy to think about. You're right.
stuff, right? It's held up really well. It's just, I think the only critique I had was like put a display on it. Sometimes my
Yeah.
phone is overheated, dead, or dying. I
Yeah.
don't always have a
Absolutely.
tablet on me. Like,
Yeah.
there's plenty of reasons.
That's a fact. Yeah, that would be actually. That's the only thing I can think that would make it any better. Really. Yeah, their
Yeah, because
stuff is pretty solid.
it's solid. I've had mine for years, and it's still good. I think I bought mine. I think it was around 2020, 2021, something like that.
Mm. Yeah, I think I bought mine around the same. Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
just
they do good work.
cooped up in the house during that whole weird year that we had, and I was just like, what do I need to buy? Just tool shopping the whole time.
Exactly. Yeah,
But like I
it's a
said, I
fact.
feel like you're the same way. You're kind of always into tools and what can help you out there as a technician.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Like Measure Quick. You use Measure Quick?
I've been told I need to, but
Oh wow.
I uh, I tried it a few times. I just didn't like, and I know a kid that works there, and I'm like, if you would make it a little more mobile or tablet friendly, because I can't put it in
Hmm.
landscape without it going crazy.
Really? Hmm.
It's just like all the
Interesting.
tablets I have, like the little kickstand is always like in landscape. I'm like, or I could,
Okay.
or like if I had an option to put it in landscape to get more information out of it, right? Like kind of like
Yeah,
have it change and fill out the screen more. That'd be cool. But
I see what
yeah,
you're saying.
I might go back to it eventually.
So you said when was the last? I guess when was the last time you tried it? The last update?
A couple years ago,
Oh yes.
I think I downloaded it again just to see if they changed that, and I'm like, all right, they didn't. So,
Yeah. I mean, I'm not
but
gonna lie.
but like, oh, real
Yeah.
quick, I do want to get another set of probes, so like I might have to go back to it just to have that functionality of like that's a thing that I do like about it is that you can connect a whole bunch of stuff to it and it doesn't have to be the same brand or anything.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. That's the most powerful feature. Absolutely. And just, I mean, like I said, if you look into it, like I don't know, but I don't know how well it's gonna do for because you work on a lot of like, uh, well, you work on regular AC systems too for commercial, yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it would be. I think it would be. You get a lot of benefit out of it. It's got a lot of features, a lot of what do you call it? Like where it's basically like automated diagnostic type kickbacks based off of pressures and things like that.
I think
It's
it's
pretty
something
powerful.
I think it's something I need to look into again, like I said, but
Yeah.
it is something I would recommend for like even a new technician because
Absolutely.
obviously I
Yes.
wouldn't trust it 100%, right? But it's cool that it
No.
helps you. It's cool that it tells you like look for this or look for that. And
Yeah. I
then
mean, like if you take.
the little gauges where it's like red, green, you're in the good
Mhm.
zone, a bad zone, all that.
Yeah, and that's like I mean that's only as good as what you put in as far as like you got to know the SEER rating, you got to know like the tonnage, all that type of stuff in order for that to actually be worth anything. But like I say, sometimes even for the seasons, for people that are more seasoned, it's like you might not remember you might not quickly think of every potential issue that this could be, and this giving a list out for you. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. It's kind of just quickly just those reminders at you, even if you have experienced it before. So, but
I think at
yeah,
first I was like, I don't need that, but then I was like, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool after I thought about it.
yeah, man.
Because I had that the other. I don't know when I filmed it. It was probably a couple weeks ago. But I
Hmm.
uploaded a video yesterday and I was editing it. Now had to watch myself struggle again. But
Yeah.
I was checking something completely different and it ended up being an issue with the duct. And I was like,
Hmm.
why did I waste all this time? So like
Yeah.
sometimes you jump to the
Absolutely.
wrong, you jump to the wrong thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I
That's a
guess
fact.
the one thing that Measure Quick is helpful for is like getting you to, you know, hook everything up and make sure you check everything, because like you said, you need to put all the information in, you need to put all your readings and get all that stuff set up for it to do it properly. And that's a habit that I'm trying to get myself into more, because I'm
I see what you're saying.
like, when I've had guys that I've trained or work for me, like I always tell them the main thing back then, because it was like analogs, is like make sure you hook up to both sides of the system, right? Because I hated when I got a call and it's like, well, my suction is this and it's roll low and this and that. I'm like, well, what's your discharge? Like, do you know if the system's even running right? Like,
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
bunch of factors and stuff. But now it's like I'm doing the probe thing. I'm trying to do more with like getting all the clamps on, getting all the psychrometers, in there, making sure, because
Yeah.
doing this for a while, like it's hardly ever a refrigerant issue unless you got a leak. It's usually like
Yeah.
airflow or something. I always tell people it's always something really dumb, you know?
Yeah. A lot of times. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, and I can understand why you're more, I guess, more hesitant to use it because, like you said, you already pretty much learned. You pretty much got all your experience in before that even existed. But I actually learned. I mean, I pretty much learned on Measure Quick. That's pretty much a lot of. So I'm kind of biased in that sense. Like a lot of my learning curve was just learning using Measure Quick and having that as my uh, just a little crutch or whatever in the field. So just one of those things where I guess it's just one of a
Yeah,
bias type of.
it's funny because that's going to be your like, that's what's helping you out in the field, right? Like, you don't need somebody there to tell you this or that. Like, you can have your app, and
Yeah,
you can kind of figure it out through there.
absolutely.
That's the really cool thing now, because like before, like I said, I had people calling me all the time, like trying to figure out or troubleshoot over the phone, and that drove me nuts most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, like you say, imagine if you had your techs using it and I mean, I'm sure they wouldn't have to call as often. It's just,
Yeah.
one of those things.
Today's episode is also brought to you by NAVIEN. If you haven't seen it yet, NAVIEN has entered the HVAC space in a big way with the new NPF hydro furnace. This hydronic forced air furnace delivers industry-leading variable capacity operation from 15 to 100% in both natural and propane configurations. You can learn more at navieninc.com. And DIVERSITECH, they simplify your work. They have everything that a technician needs to get a job done. I do want to point out that they do have a Simplify Your Summer Challenge. I will leave all the information in the description. If you go over to their Instagram, this challenge is basically a chance to win an ultimate HVACR bundle with over 25 unique products from their DIVERSITECH lineup. This includes Hillmore, Swoosh, the Spin Bits. They have the Pro Thermostats. They have the Master Care cleaning solutions. They have so many products. All you have to do to enter is share your work with at least 3 products from any of their lineups in a reel or post, and tag them and include the hashtag Simplify Your Summer. So go check that out, go enter, and thanks again for sponsoring the channel and doing this awesome summer giveaway from DIVERSITECH. So you mentioned your YouTube channel. You do have a YouTube channel. I'll make sure to leave that in the description and all that.
Oh yeah,
What
appreciate it.
what is your experience beforehand? Because I was actually, when I had wrote out my notes, I kind of guessed, but
Hmm.
I went back to watch your HVAC shop talk because I had seen it live, but I didn't watch the whole thing, so I had to go back and rewatch it.
Yeah.
So I think I was kind of right on most of this stuff. Your experience before HVAC, because you said you've only been into it for a few years. You actually had a career before this, right?
Yeah. I mean, I did a whole bunch of stuff before this, to be honest. I mean, I guess not too much, but yeah, I did. The thing that I guess, went to school for is audio production. Like, I basically had a degree in recording arts, essentially.
Oh,
So went to
okay.
school out there in Full Sail and did the whole recording recording engineering thing. But I didn't really get too much into the music field of it. My first job out was like a job in essentially doing like what do you call it, on hold messaging and digital signage, things like that, where it's like I'm just pretty much doing the audio for on hold messaging. Did that for probably, shoot, maybe 5 years or so, 5 or 6 years. Then I got into the pool industry, doing I did like the website, web design, and videography for a pool company, a local pool company out here in basically the Charlotte area.
Okay.
And did supervising, things like that. A lot of, pretty much like wherever. It was a really small company, so it's just like, just basically wherever you fit in, take on that role for the day type thing. But I mostly did their website, web design, and things like that. And then yeah, so from there I got into the HVAC thing. So
So like when you did the whole, because like you went to school for the audio thing,
yeah,
what was what was the goal there? Were you trying to get into the music like you said, or was it, or what was that
yeah.
about?
I mean, yeah, I wanted to get into the music industry. I liked I guess out of high school I was basically into just like the whole rap scene, R&B type stuff like that. So I pretty much just basically wanted to try to take it seriously. I had a bunch of friends and stuff like that that were making music. So we pretty much, I just said, I just want to go to school for it and try to make a career of it.
Did you
Then
have
once I
like
got into, what's that?
experience? Did you have experience like that with your friends, like making, producing, all that?
Nah, not really. Nothing major,
Oh,
honestly. Just, I mean, I've done a couple, just smaller independent projects and things like
well,
that with
yeah.
some
Like
local
I
guys.
had friends growing up that actually did a little rap group, and they were pretty
Oh,
good.
really?
They were pretty
Really?
good, but I mean, obviously they're not major, but like they would put out songs and do it locally, and I thought that was
Yeah.
cool. And I actually, I'm
Yeah.
a big music person too, because
Okay.
I had that same thought. Like
Really? All
I
right.
had a laptop, I downloaded a bunch of music software, and I had a friend of mine kind of that was in that group, kind of show me around, and I dabbled in some music. I think what killed it was that I had a bunch of music that I had kind of made, the beats and
Hmm.
all that
Yeah.
type of stuff. That computer
Okay. I
just
didn't know that.
that computer just died. I lost all that music, and it was
Interesting.
hard to start over after that.
Oh, man. How long ago was that?
That was right out of high school, man. I graduated in '06, so around
Okay.
'06, '05, '06, that kind of time.
Sweet. All right. So you graduated a little after me. So you must have gotten, because I graduated in '04. So,
Probably the
huh.
same music,
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yes. It's, yeah, same time span, I
same
imagine.
time. Yeah, and and that's why I tell people like I'm into music, but I was
Hmm.
really into it at one point, and
Really?
I'm the kind of person like when I listen to something, and I listen to a lot of music because I drive so much throughout the
Yeah.
day, and I
Hmm.
do wear my AirPods when I'm on the rooftop and stuff like that. But I love music. I love listening to like all the background stuff, all the instruments, the beats.
Yeah.
Kind of how they construct a song together. Like I've always been into
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Were you more into like the production, or were you like, did you do performing, or what was your at
Oh,
your
I would never perform, but I love the production side of it.
Nice. Okay. I hear that. Yeah, I can imagine that being the case. Yes, you seem like the type that likes to just kind of play the in the background and just make things happen, huh?
I mean,
That's how I am, man, for real.
when you're a kid, you think about like rock stars and stuff like that, but then like
Yeah,
I wouldn't be in front of a crowd.
yeah, yeah, man. That's a fact. That's how I've always been as well, man. That's why I got into the engineering aspect of it. I never wanted to be an artist. I mean, the only thing I make, like I said, reason I got on this YouTube channel is because I just wanted to give it a shot and just. I mean, usually I'd be the guy that's actually doing the production for someone else to just to make this type of content. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But
like even now, I do find a lot of behind the scenes stuff fascinating, whether it's like music or like video
yeah,
production. I still watch that kind of stuff because I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Obviously
absolutely.
it's bled over into what I do now, like podcasting and things like that. Still kind of
Uh-huh.
that kind of helps me now, but like that's what I was into as well. And like as far as you doing a YouTube channel, so then you've also have you done videography and photography or dabbled in that too?
Yeah. A little bit. Nothing too, I mean, like I said, for the pool company I worked at,
Oh yeah, the web design.
so yeah, web design, photography, videography, taking pictures of pools, drone
Did you
photography
learn
and
that
stuff like
on your own time? Like I feel
that.
like
Hmm.
that's hard to do too because I have a brother that was into videography, and he did
Uh-huh.
all that stuff. He used to do like weddings and different things, and I,
Yeah.
I love the photos, like his style and stuff. And he used to take photos like when I lived home, like around the house or like with us or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I never got super into it, but I did pick it up as a hobby, or I would ask him how to do this or to do that. I still
Yeah.
will. I'll bug him every now and then when I need to know how to do something in Photoshop. But like my brother was into it, and I'm like, man, that's a hard thing to learn as well.
It is, but like you already know when you're into it, when you're into the technology and just the learning, if you're taking it serious enough, it's just one of those things you just kind of pick up, man. Like it didn't take me too long to learn it, just the basics of video production. And like we said earlier, it's just you got with all this information on the internet, it's just like forget about it, man. You got it's just so much so much data out there. Not to mention a lot of the stuff I learned in audio production as well kind of it goes into the video production. They kind of are related in that sense, you
Yeah, like
know.
even now I'm still looking up like how do I get the best audio for for my stuff and this and that. Like I'm always on YouTube looking up different things. And
Yeah.
that's always been like a little hobby of mine too, is like the photo and video stuff. And like with you, like all this stuff kind of bleeds over into what we do now. So I mean it's
Yeah.
cool. It's cool.
And it's cool because it's just the residual, like you say, it's a bleed over. I'm not really putting really too much effort in the actual video side, to be honest. Like, it's not trying because it's one of those things where you just don't really have time to try to get it perfect. But
Yeah.
just the baseline foundation that I learned was able to make it at least up to standard. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and like I gravitate to like some of that kind of content, like even somebody like Jake, Cooling
Yeah.
with Kraus, like he likes to do the music and he's always thinking about like we'll talk about like angles and different things,
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he does. I was like, I don't know how you do it because I'm more. I try to keep mine more simple. I do like to do the music and
Yeah.
my little intro stuff and all that outro, but
Yeah.
he's trying to take it up a notch because he has like a GoPro going and like his phone and he has like two angles of the
Okay.
same job that he's doing and he goes like he gets
Yeah,
into
I have
it.
noticed that. I have seen a couple of his videos where he's actually like doing the whole, just what do you call it, where you're kind of doing the B-roll where you're shooting yourself walking back by or shoot yourself just getting
Yeah,
up into the
we've
attic
talked
and stuff
about
like that.
that. It's cool. Like I love seeing that
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
no joke. Yeah,
I can't do it all the time for mine.
yeah,
I try to keep mine more simple, I guess, but
absolutely. Yeah,
that's what makes it entertaining, right? You go on YouTube, you see these guys and all their different styles, and then which is why I like to go on there. And
absolutely.
people think that or we're crazy that we go watch work after work, but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. That's what my girlfriend always says. Like, oh, you just got off. What are you doing? You just gotta. I
yeah,
mean, like you say, when you love it, man.
my girlfriend was like, she thought I was crazy too, and then like I had that awkward conversation where I'm like, I think I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. So here we
What
are
was it
now.
that got you into it, though? What made you start it?
Well, I did it right after that whole COVID year. So like end of 2020 and 2021 is when I started.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I think initially I started it to try and um, advertise a business. I
Okay.
quickly learned because I started more on Instagram. I quickly learned that like this was like people from all over the world. which
Yeah.
is the craziest part of it. Is like I had people from like Australia, New Zealand, all these
Mm-hmm.
other countries like, oh, love your love your work, this and that. And then
Nice.
the YouTube channel was like, I was seeing so many crazy things in the field. I was like, I should be documenting this stuff, right? So like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what mine started as. I never started it, I'm being honest, to help or to educate. Like I never wanted to be a teacher or anything like that. So like
I see what
that
you're
was in the
saying.
that was never like in the forefront of my mind. Naturally, as it's progressed, I
Yeah.
am,
Mm-hmm.
because I just had a conversation with a guy right now. Like, we do this to help others. I mean, it's fun for us. It's a hobby. I do get
Yeah.
enjoyment out of editing and kind of recording and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I've always told people we talk to ourselves sometimes on the rooftop anyway. Like, why not just record it?
That's true, man.
And
That's a fact.
now, like I said, I talked to somebody and it's like, we do these to help people. Like, people actually get something out of the videos, right? It's like us in the real world. This is the actual stuff that you see in the field, so that's helpful
Yeah.
because you don't see that with a school or with a educational type of content. You don't
Absolutely.
see the field stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. That makes sense. So yeah, you got
So
into it about the same time as I did. I think about 2021 or something like that.
yeah,
So.
and I think I saw you because there was a few that started at the same time.
Hmm.
Not everybody has stuck around. I mean, you've stuck around. There's been a few others, and
Nice.
it kind of sucks because I really did like, or I do like seeing more channels out. So like I know, even I've thought about like, man, I get too busy. I can't do this. But like, it's cool to see the ones that stick around because it's like a community too. Like we watch each other's stuff and comment and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I've told guys that want to start, especially now because there's more of it. I would assume it's a little bit harder maybe to start now, but if you're gonna do it, it's for your own enjoyment or to help others.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like you're not
Don't
gonna
do it
get
for the money.
yeah, you're not gonna get any money out of it in the first like year or whatever it is.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. At least. Yeah.
And okay, so then let me well, how did you get your start into HVAC? How did you fall into it?
Sure. Yeah. So my brother-in-law, basically my sister's husband, was he basically had started his company. So this was probably about 2017 or something like that, maybe 2016. So he's a one man band. So you basically need help every once in a while doing installs, just for some grunt work type stuff. So he'd pay me like $400 to help him do an install. So I was like, wow, making $400 in 4 or 5 hours, can't go wrong with that. So I said, I need to look into it. I basically wanted to look into just pretty much making a career of it because I mean I saw the money potential there, and basically, he was pretty much too small of a company to really take me on properly as a full time employee to in the direction I wanted to go with it. So I went ahead and just found a local job out in Charlotte, here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and just basically took off from there essentially. But yeah,
So he
essentially,
got you your first or your foot in the door, your taste of it, and then
yeah, exactly.
you enjoyed it. Like you enjoyed the actual work. Did you do so then like if he hired you for help, was it like a lot of install type of deal?
Yeah, it was the only time I helped him was with install. So no, personally, I didn't really enjoy it like that doing
Yeah, I can
install.
imagine because I'm not into that side of that either.
Yeah, I got into it for the money initially. I'm not going to lie. It was only after I started doing service work and got into like what we were talking about, the technology and just how to really um, maximize the effectiveness or the efficiency of just how basically just the tools you're using. Like I pretty much started really taking a liking to the actual career. So I pretty much was gone home from there. I spent a bunch of money on tools, just went all out with it. But yeah, initially I just got into it for the money. Like when I was working with my brother-in-law, it was just yeah, strictly about the money. Just had to
So
do
then,
something a little different.
yeah, so then you tagged along to help him out, and then
Yeah.
you jumped over to another company. You had no experience prior to any of this, and then going to that other company, are they hiring you to do more install, or did they offer to train you? How did that work?
So essentially, he initially offered started off as not even install. I guess we started off as just kind of like a service, like ride along. I was riding along with another service guy that he had just pretty much hired. That guy was kind of he just really wasn't up to spec. He just wound up just not being just getting fired shortly thereafter, essentially.
And that was the
So I
guy you
pretty
had to ride with,
yeah, exactly.
your first ride along.
Yeah, man, he was a character, man. He was peculiar. But I worked with this company for about, I'd say, mind you, I'm just getting into this field, right? So no experience in HVAC. So I was working with him for like maybe a week or two. He gave me this. He started me off at like $14 an hour or something crazy like that. I took it because I knew it was going to be, we are going to work up. I was going to be able to work up. This was just like a stepping stone type situation. So I took that $14 an hour. Wasn't really enough. I told him I needed more than that, but he wasn't really, because I had no experience, had no type of EPA, nothing like that. He was just like whatever. So basically, after a week or so, I was like, "This is enough money." Went back to doing the pool thing. Got a job with another pool company. Then, probably let's say about 2 weeks later, I wasn't really feeling the pool company thing at all. He called the company, the HVAC company, called me back. He said that guy left. The guy that was the service tech. He left. He needed some help. I guess he liked what I liked. I guess what I was doing from that from my last stint out there. So he was like, "Okay, can you come back? I'll pay you." I think it was like $16 an hour or something. It still wasn't enough, but I was like, "Yeah, I'm not really liking this pool thing. But as long as you can pretty much, as long as we can work up, this payment once I show improve, once I get my EPA and everything like that." So we did that, worked that out. Next thing you know, oh yeah, so basically right after once I came back, I was pretty much doing service. So initially I was riding along with the guy. When I came back, I was just basically he gave me I had my own van, pretty much doing service work. But I was able to make it work because of once again, like I always tell people, is YouTube. Between YouTube and using MeasureQuick, I really didn't know much of anything, but I was able to figure it out as I was out there. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it worked out. Like I didn't have too many issues, too many major issues. I mean, I've told the stories where you know I've had a couple hiccups. I've almost burnt my eye out with a piece of what do you call it, like a hot flaming hot piece of uh, the soldering rod or whatever.
Did it
I
like
was basically,
fly at you, or what happened?
no, I was basically brazing, right, and it was I was brazing with it, and then I didn't have my. It was so ironic. I didn't have my what do you call it, the goggles down, my eye
Oh,
protection. So I literally went to put it down when I had the brazing rod in my hand, and it scratched my eye like
oh,
super
okay.
hot when I went to put the goggles down. Yeah, talk about irony, man.
Oh man. Yeah, you're
Yes.
going to you're reaching for your goggles, and then you like poke your eye out.
No joke, man. So that was terrifying. That was probably one of the more terrifying things I've experienced.
I know.
And
I've always told people like the things that I've done to the equipment, right? Like I've burnt holes in copper, I've shorted out boards, but I always forget about the times that I've like almost injured myself, right? Like I've
yeah.
I've burned my hand, I've ran a flame over my hand before, like, and then
Hmm.
continue to work because I don't know. I have that pain tolerance, which is like
Yeah.
a good or bad thing. I don't know how you want to look at it. So
Goodness.
like
Did it
I've
bubble up on you or
no, I got
I imagine
lucky. Like it kind of wanted to blister, but like it wasn't. I guess it
no
wasn't
third
on there long
degree.
enough.
Yeah, that
It
was a
it
quick yeah.
it hurt like hell during that day trying to finish the job. We're doing an install,
Damn,
and
man. Yeah.
I've accidentally touched the copper after brazing it. I've done stupid things like that. We've all done a lot of dumb things over the years, but like just be careful out there.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It really is. It's pretty. It can get volatile,
And
So
then no, well, to your other point about how you learned, I mean that's still impressive being like you said in this only a few years, and then being able to you ran your own calls. I'm assuming pretty quickly, just because of
yeah,
all the learning that you did on your own time, and it's not much different than when I started because
yeah.
the only thing that's changed is a resource. Internet
Mm,
internet is a resource, right?
absolutely.
When I started, I work for my dad, so my dad kind of taught me not not
Okay, yeah.
not HVAC because he doesn't do HVAC, but the
Hmm.
work ethic, how to do things, how to figure out things.
Okay.
I got that from him. So he had that mindset of, put anything in front of me and I'm gonna figure it out. And then it's like if you don't
Yeah.
know it, if you don't know how to do anything or you don't know how that equipment works, find out. Go find I might not know the answer, but go find it, right?
Yeah.
So I've always
Absolutely.
been in that mindset as well, and that's I mean, like you could look up something on YouTube, whereas like when I started, I had to go and like either call tech support
Hmm. Okay,
read
yeah.
or read a manual. I mean, the only
Yeah.
difference is the resource, right? It's you learn on the job
Absolutely.
way
Yeah.
more than anything in school. Now I had school myself to back me up.
Yeah.
I knew more of the the terms, how to get my superheat, how to do all this other stuff. I
Yeah.
had that to back me up as like, the bones of my career, but like my dad threw me out there and he's like, go figure it out. That's the only way you're going to learn.
Nice. I
And
hear
then
you, man.
I have textbooks too that I got from school and I was reading those things over and over after school. I mean after work,
Yeah.
or
It's the
take
only
the
way to do it,
manual.
man.
I would take the manual home with me, right? If we ever installed something or I
Mm,
found it in the equipment, I would just take that home with me and read it.
for real. Yeah. That's a fact, man. I do the same, man.
So
Like,
it's like, same difference.
absolutely. Yeah. Crazy,
Uh,
man.
so you're a good example because I've gotten this question a lot is like, is it too late for me to start? And these are people that are in their 30s and their 40s. Is it too late for me to start? I mean, you had a late
Oh,
start
yeah.
in your
Yeah.
career and I mean, you're thriving.
I mean, I'm trying. I'm doing all right. Yeah. I mean, didn't the late start didn't really affect too much other than just I mean, probably I probably won't be wanting to do too much rigorous work too much, for too many more years, but it's like one of those things, you just it's never too late, really.
Yeah, you missed out on those years where they send you to go do all the crawling around and all
Yeah,
the
exactly.
vigorous stuff. Because I'm not even gonna lie, when I have a helper with me, he's the one that goes up there. I'm not going up there. I just
Yeah.
had one that I don't know how my guy got up there. I think I mentioned it on the nights. I think I mentioned it on the last week. I had to go up there by myself another day because we were looking for a leak in a drop ceiling. Um,
Yeah.
I had to crawl up on a walk-in box, right? So I can get up on it,
Mm-hmm.
but there in a commercial drop ceiling, there's beams. I had to go over this little concrete wall that was next to
Mm.
the walk-in box. There's a beam going over it. There's lines for all their, routers and cameras and light fixtures. I
Yeah.
I finally got in there. I was like, I don't know how the hell to get in here. I don't know how my guy got in here because he's a heavier guy. I could barely get in there and I pulled my back. I was like, I can't do this
Yeah.
anymore.
That's a fact, man. Yeah. That's real.
So
Like, I
I
mean,
get
age
you.
catch up.
The past couple years, I've already flipped that switch where I'm like trying to either take care of my body or like have, somebody come help me with that stuff. Like back in the day, like people would get mad because you'd look at your phone or do anything like that. And it's
Yeah.
funny. It's funny now because everything we do is on our phone. Because I've that just that reminds me. I used to get in trouble for being on my phone when I started. I actually had managers calling my dad like, "This kid is just on his phone. He's not doing anything." I'm like, "Geez." A- And now it's like a little more normal because we're checking,
It's true, man.
measure quick or something on our phone.
It's facts. Yeah, I still kind of sometimes when customers walk up on me, I know I'm working, but I feel guilty. I feel like they're looking at me crazy because I'll be on my
Yeah,
phone like this, on MeasureClick looking at this, all the metrics and everything. So
I feel the
yeah,
same
it is.
way. I started using a tablet now, and I'm like, I'm like, look, it's work. It's not anything else.
Exactly.
No, I
Yeah.
still feel weird when I'm there because I monitor my pressures when I'm running like a walk-in box or something, and I
Yeah.
have all my stuff, my clamps, my probes, and the cool thing is you don't have to be on the roof, you don't have to be in the box, checking it. So I'll step out,
Exactly.
and it is like a little break, but I'm monitoring my stuff,
Yeah.
my psychrometers, all that kind of stuff. And they look at you, and I'm like, yeah, I'm still working, still working. I don't know. I feel like what you did before, as far as like the web design, audio
hmm
production, it's kind of a big difference from HVAC. Did you embrace that difference? Like, are you somebody that just likes to be, out and about type of deal?
Yeah.
Because like I can't be at a desk. I get so annoyed when I get tied to a desk.
It's a fact, and that's like I said, that was one of the biggest turnoffs as far as like trying to do the audio production thing, because just sitting there at a console, sitting there inside of a studio for like 12, 14 hours straight, just wasn't really appealing. It's just not my thing, man. I like to be out and outside and walking around, trying to, just basically, I like to work with my hands as well, man. I'm really kind of hands-on guy, so. But the thing that I did like the actual parallels, the way that it kind of intrigued me was just the technological aspect of it, to where a lot of the, like for instance, electricity and stuff, learning about electricity using meters and oscilloscopes, things like that. A lot of that stuff actually, um, you know, is once again related to audio as well. Like it's all to do with frequencies and things like that, vibrations. So there's just so many things that overlap when it comes to just different fields. Like, so yeah, HVAC, there was a lot of even learning about the thermodynamics and things like
Yeah,
that, where it's
like
just
maybe that's what got me into it too. Because like I prefer commercial refrigeration because I guess there is more, or at the time there was more technology on that side. Like we're
yeah.
dealing with a lot of electrical, a lot of different varieties of like coolers, freezers, ice machines, ice cream machines. Like I always get super intrigued when I come across a different or something I've never seen before. Like that's always what intrigued me about it. And then
Yeah.
I like I said, I have similar interests, so like that's what caught my eye on it. And I just can't be at a desk. I prefer to be out there. I was never
Absolutely.
mechanically inclined, to be honest. When I started, that was the part that I had to learn, is to be more
Yeah.
more handy, more hands on. I wasn't afraid of it. I was into sports. I was always outside. Like I embraced that part of it. But I learned it as I went, and it's been interesting. You every day is like an interesting thing that you gotta either solve or you see or you work on. All that stuff.
Yeah. I hear that.
So
Absolutely.
in my last one of my last streams, somebody mentioned that they're trying to get more into. I guess they're doing more residential now. So like
Yeah.
I'll kind of end with this little topic, and they're working on like their customer service skills, right? That's
hmm
always been like my thing. Is I like commercial because I'm by myself most of the time, right? These are restaurants, uh, what do you call it? Like national chains. Like they don't really care that I'm there too much, but I try to keep a good relationship with the managers. But on the residential side, you guys have to deal with a lot of different customers on the daily,
Yeah.
multiple times a day. Like I know you had that one video with that bad experience that you had. Was that the only bad one that you've had, or like? Cause it's a whole other thing when you're stepping into their house. Like that's something
hmm
that I could never, do myself. But like, how's your experience been with customers?
I mean, overall, my experience has been pretty amazing. You know, that was probably I
except
mean,
for
I've
one.
had maybe two or three. Yeah, exactly. I've had maybe like a small handful, two or three bad experiences
Okay.
where it's just like, yeah, the woman accused me of stealing, some money or whatever that was in an envelope. She wound up finding the money. At least she basically came back and said she found it, so I couldn't even
Was
be
that
that
like?
mad at her. But
Well, yeah. I
what's
mean,
that?
at least she owned up to it. But like, was that kind of like somebody who, or like, because I remember seeing the video, but was
Yeah.
she somebody that just seemed paranoid? Like, I feel like
Oh yeah.
you kind of have to feel the room basically when you step
Yeah.
into the house.
Oh yeah. So like I said, it was so long ago, but I just remember she was basically following me like everywhere I went to go upstairs. She asked why I'm going up there. Like she was weird. She was peculiar from the onset, but it was one of those things. Sometimes I guess you get used to people's idiosyncrasies. Just kind of the everybody's got a weird way about them, so you don't you just don't get that cautious or just kind of like, oh, let me get out of here real quick, because most of my experiences have been good, but I definitely come across a good handful of people that are you know just a little more standoffish. I went to a house the other day, man, just probably the day before yesterday, and it's not a big deal, but it was just so awkward. I knocked on the door, he opened the door, and like comes run basically just like steps outside the door, closes the door behind him. And he's just looking at me with like a blank expression, right? I swear we sat there staring at each other for like 5 seconds. It felt like forever. But I was just like, oh, I'm just here to look at your air conditioning. He's just like, oh yeah. I mean, he expected me, but it was just this kind of, I'm not sure what he was expecting, but it was it was peculiar. But that's what I
Yeah,
mean. Like he wound up basically, I signed up for maintenance and everything, so he was happy with the service. It was no problems. There's no negative issues, but it was just that initial. I guess sometimes people are, a little standoffish when they're letting strangers into their house. So
yeah.
you
That,
got
I
to
feel
always,
like that's one of the hardest parts of that to me because I'm not. I don't know. I'm not that kind of person that just immediately gets along with everybody. Like I have learned to build that skill over time because I was way more introverted, in the beginning than I am now. Now I go in there and I say hi to everybody, talk to like I said, the manager, the cooks, whatever it is.
yeah,
When before I thought I could just, do my job, get in and out. Like I didn't have to talk to anybody. And they don't like that.
yeah,
I've had complaints about that. So
yeah.
I had to work on that. Residential, you have to do that from the get go, I believe.
Oh
And
yeah, that's the main thing, man. Yeah, you gotta have that
people
ability to
skills.
talk to deal with people. Absolutely, probably the
Uh,
number one thing, really.
because yeah, like I said, I've had that question before. Like, how do you deal, or they're trying to deal with that part of it because they're new to residential or whatever it is.
Yeah,
And I feel like it's just like filling out the room. Like you have that. Like I've been guilty of judging somebody like as soon as I meet them. Right?
mm-hmm.
They
Yeah,
might be a little rude. They might be like standoffish, like you said. But they don't know you, right? They got to get to know you. You got to be
absolutely.
welcoming and stuff like that. I would imagine that's kind of um
Yeah.
your approach too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just I like the interaction. Like I said, I tend to I guess it's a good balance, spend so much time just working working on equipment and kind of just driving by yourself. I am more of an introvert, to be honest. I'm not really after a long day of work and dealing with multiple people after a day, I'm pretty much done dealing with people, man. Like, but at the end of the day, it's kind of, it's just one of those things where I guess I just kind of take it as it comes. I don't get bothered by it. Like when customers, they're standing over my shoulder asking questions. I'll take that time to educate them because, I understand that's just kind of what got me into this. Like sometimes if a person wants to know about their own equipment, hey, maybe they might want to try to work on the stuff every once in a while for their own self, save themselves some money. So I'm quick to just show them the ropes for what take a little couple minutes to explain things to them, and I don't take any of that type of stuff personal. So or take it as, oh, what do they call it, like helicopter, this and that type of stuff. No, it's
Yeah.
just,
I'm assuming like even with that one that you had where they accused you of stealing, you got to keep your cool. I mean, that's the only way to deal with those things. I'm okay with somebody watching me because I'll show you exactly what I did and all that.
and yeah, it is kind of like the Wild West out there as far as people just creating bogus, artificially inflating tickets, trying to upsell and things like that. But I tell you, I did learn a lesson a couple weeks back, where there was a bigger company around here that, they were out there and the customer wanted a second opinion, and they called us up because they were like, the company was like, oh well, your supply plenum has got a bunch of mold in it, and we need to swap out the plenum and put some UV stuff in there for, UV light or whatever. So the customer was explaining that to me, and I was like, okay. So they were like, well, another thing, they were showing me the picture, and they had this little tool. It's like a borescope. Or they pretty much described a borescope type thing. And they were like, well, don't pay attention to the timestamp because the date might not be right on it. So I was like, well, that's pretty much usually a red flag.
I've
But
I've
see,
heard of that. I've heard people. Somebody told me that they use fake photos sometimes.
they do. I've seen it, but this situation was different. This was peculiar because I was like, wow. I was like, okay, so that right there might be a sign that they might not have looked in it. So I looked up into the attic. Everything was perfectly sealed, like it was brand new, like it was originally installed, sealed. All the tape and everything on the coil was sealed up. So I was like, oh man. So I was like, I told him, I tried pulling out my borescope, and I'm looking down in there with my borescope. I couldn't see anything with mine because it was just, I don't know, man. Mine was just have too much of a narrow field of view, and the light wasn't bright enough, so I couldn't really even tell anything with a borescope. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to break the seal on it. But I said, more than likely, there's probably nothing wrong with that. I told the customer, I said, if they're telling you that, there's the time stamp is different and this and that, and I can't really see anything, and everything's sealed up. So I proceeded to tell him that, and he's like, wow, so you think they're lying? I was like, probably, more than likely. So next thing you know, I was like, hold on, let me put my money where my mouth is. I said, I'll go ahead and open it up, break the seal on the coil, and open up this coil if you want to take a look for yourself. So he came up there with me, broke the seal on the coil, and then sure enough, there was mold in there, man. Like it was mold all over in the plenum and everything. So I was like, "Dang, they got it. They called that one." So just like,
Yeah.
so it was one of those really humble experiences where before you go telling the customer, just basically make sure you put eyes on it, man. That's one thing I learned from that. Before you really doubt anybody, because yeah, it must have had a pretty decent borescope that was able to actually see down in there.
He had that
So
4K boroscope or something. Uh, yeah, man. Like, and I've gone out as a second opinion, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, they weren't lying to you, but it's because that whole narrative, and it, we're not immune to it either. Like we hear the chatter. Those companies that go out there and charge a
yeah,
ridiculous amount, or like you said, run up the price. We had a guy that we got or we hired, and that was his mindset. And we're like, no, don't ever do that. Don't ever try and make up a ticket. Um, add parts that weren't installed. We've actually dealt with it because somebody came over from another company that was taught that way.
yeah,
There
yeah.
are companies out there that are like that, and that's
Better believe it.
bad apples. You get those people that do that kind of stuff, and then it ruins it for the rest of us, right? And then, and then,
Absolutely.
like you said, you had that mindset too because you're like, I don't know, like they might be lying. You never know. I've had both. I've had some that condemn compressors or units, and it's just a really dirty coil. Or like I had one,
Yeah.
or I've had a couple lately that they condemn compressors and they were actually bad. You never know.
It's interesting, man. It's always something to be learned. Always some, just a
whether
new
whether
challenge.
whether it's good or bad, like you said, you get humbled. It's a
Yeah,
learning experience for sure.
absolutely. Yeah. Just don't jump the gun. Yeah, that's definitely something as far as diagnostic, you want to make sure you, set eyes on that thing before you make any kind of claims or, speculations, really. But,
With anything in this trade, double check, triple check. That's what I always That's my mindset now.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
we've been here over an hour. I don't want to keep you too long, man. Is there
Sweet.
anything you want to close out on? Any advice for guys watching, newer guys?
Only thing I could say is just if you want to get into this trade or career, just don't be leave your ego at the door. Don't be too proud. Don't worry comparing yourself to others. Basically, put in the time after hours. If you want to really get good at this and you want to move up quickly and earn your keep, earn your money, that you pretty much are going to earn what you put in. So the time you put in, whether during the work hours or after, that's going to be your earning potential. So just be prepared to put in the extra time. Don't look at it just as a clock in, clock out type of situation. And that's pretty much all I got to say about that. If you want to, be successful in HVAC.
So, Courtland, thanks for coming out. Thanks for making the time. I appreciate that. I think we covered a lot of good stuff. Hopefully that helps somebody out. And I appreciate everybody watching and listening. We'll see you guys next time.